Welcome to Horrify Environment. If you are new here, you can subscribe our channel. We upload daily horror videos. A strange phenomenon that rattled the nerves of the city's residents existed in the center, where neon lights danced and streets whispered secrets. The midnight delivery service. It was spoken in low voices, a service available only at night when the world was asleep and the moon was high. Few brave enough to use it told of unusual experiences and unsettling encounters that left them cold. Sarah had a yearning for a late-night snack on a chilly, misty night. As midnight approached, she looked through her phone to find a nearby restaurant that delivered. She was shocked to see an advertisement for midnight munchies, a service she had never heard of before. She went on the website out of curiosity and perused the menu. The menu was wide-ranging, including everything from traditional comfort cuisine to unusual fare. Sarah was a little nervous, but she couldn't resist the need to try something different. She ordered a pepperoni pizza and excitedly awaited its delivery. Sarah was excited at first, but as the minutes passed, she became nervous. There was still no indication of her birth, even though it was past 1 a.m. In her dimly lit apartment, she paced back and forth, the only sound breaking the calm outside being the occasional passing of a car. She was about to give up when there was a gentle knock on her door. Sarah stepped forward gingerly, heart thumping, and looked through the spy hole. There was a shadowy man standing on the other side, carrying a plain brown paper bag. Her breath caught in her throat as she opened the door with a shaking hand. Though Sarah couldn't see the delivery person's face because of the shadows, she could tell they were uncomfortable. They gave her the package and turned away without saying anything. Sarah was left standing by herself in the doorway as they disappeared into the night before she could say anything to express her gratitude. Sarah took the enigmatic gift to her kitchen counter and closed the door behind her. She withdrew the paper and revealed her order with quivering palms. However, what she found inside wasn't the hot pizza she had expected. Rather, there was just a single cake piece with a single candle flickering on it. Sarah's thoughts were racing with confusion as she studied the surprising dessert. Has something gone wrong? Or was this just a twisted joke of some kind? With the silence pressing heavily on her, she cast a quick glance about her deserted flat. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but something about the circumstances felt really wrong. Even with her reservations, Sarah was drawn in by the cake's appeal. Her senses were overwhelmed by the delightful scent, and before she realized it, she was slicing into the moist sponge and tentatively taking a bite. She had a thrill of pleasure down her spine due to the delicious flavor. However, as she tasted the flavors, she experienced an odd feeling. She had the impression that invisible but always present eyes were observing her from the shadows. A cool breeze blew out the one candle on the cake and made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on edge. Sarah felt panic take hold of her chest and darkness encompass her, engulfing her in a shadowy realm. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her phone, trying to find the comforting warmth of the screen. But when she did eventually succeed in lighting the space, she regretted doing so. Sarah's apartment's once familiar surroundings had become a terrifying scene. Viscous black liquid oozed from the walls, pulsing and gushing like living things. Her gut churned as the horribly sweet aroma filled the air. The monstrous dinner table, filled with an assortment of opulent foods, occupied the center of the room. However, these were no common treats. They moved and writhed as though they were alive, and an unearthly energy pulsed through their flesh. A creature dressed in darkness sat at the head of the table, their eyes shining with evil intent. Sarah staggered back, the truth sinking in. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had wandered into an incomprehensible world where hopelessness and gloom reigned. She was now caught in its web and set to be a part of its depraved feast. Sarah struggled mightily to free herself from the darkness's stifling hold. She held fast to the fading hope that blazed within her, refusing to give in to its deceptive murmurs. Her breath came in sharp gasps as she made a desperate run for the door with her limbs shaking. She was about to grab hold of the handle when a frigid hand tightened around her wrist and pulled her back into the chasm. With panic taking over her head, Sarah's scream resounded through the night as she battled her invisible attacker. And suddenly, it was over in a dazzling blaze of light. Sarah awoke to find herself unconscious on her apartment floor, adrenaline still pounding in her veins. She needed a moment to come to terms with the fact that she was by herself, the perverse nightmare that had taken over her slowly vanishing from her consciousness. Sarah sat by herself in her apartment, trying to process what had happened as the first rays of morning peeked through the curtains. Was it all just a fever dream, fueled by hunger and weariness? Or had she actually seen a sight of something else entirely? Sarah decided not to place another midnight munchies order after shuddering at the memories. However, she knew in her heart that the event would follow her for the rest of her life, as a terrifying reminder of the perils that awaited her in the shadow of the night. Sarah also couldn't get rid of the sensation that she had just about avoided something much worse than death as she watched the sun rise over the city skyline and illuminate everything below with a golden glow, because she felt the presence of something ancient and evil lurking in the shadows at the periphery of her vision, anxiously waiting for its next unfortunate victim.